am so geeked for you right now because you have found the path where you'll learn how to lose that excess fat, feel good again, and increase your odds of getting pregnant naturally. I am Dr. K.Duga, naturopathic physician, creator of She Does Medicine, Natural and Integrative Fertility, and the go-to fertility doctor for women over 35 trying to get pregnant without the costly drugs and painful shots. Now, I have a question for you. Why is it so hard to lose weight and keep it off? Why are there so many women struggling with their weight despite dieting and exercising like crazy, and yet they look pretty much the same? If you are like most of my patients, you have tried a ton of diets over the years, but why haven't they worked for you long term? Well, let me tell you why. One major reason is weight loss is not about calories. It is about hormones. If you don't know what I mean when I say hormones, your hormones are like messengers sending signals to different parts of your body, saying things like burn that belly fat, sculpt that booty muscle, be less hungry, be in a good mood, have more energy, release that egg from the ovary. In this video, I am going to teach you about the hormones that affect your metabolism and how you can tap into them to lose the excess weight, prepare your body for a healthy pregnancy, and dramatically increase your odds of getting pregnant. So, I started out in the health and fitness industry when I was 16 years old. I can remember creating a summer weight loss program and training my high school friend who was trying to lose weight. I was a medical magnet student and super athlete, so a lot of my friends and family looked to me for help when it came to health. But I really didn't know what I was doing. I really just did whatever my coaches would have me do during track practice. I had folks doing high knees, 100-meter dashes, running long distances for miles at a time, and doing the low carb calorie deficit diets. But none of that really mattered because you know what I noticed? No matter what program I had them follow, some folks got results and some didn't. And even the ones who lost weight almost always gained it right back. It wasn't until I got my medical degree that I finally started putting all of the pieces together. It was my sorority sister's struggle with weight, her period disappearing for 6 months, and my desire to see her win that finally made me figure it out. And around the same time my sorority sister became a patient, I started seeing women in my clinic who were trying to get pregnant, but having a really hard time conceiving. And I noticed a lot of them had issues with excess weight. Most of them had always struggled with their weight, but as they got older, their low carb, calorie deficit diets and exercise routines stopped working. And then the other group of women never really struggled with weight, but as they got older, they started to notice stubborn belly fat creeping around that waistline. So what I did is I created diet and supplement protocols for them based on their unique metabolism, hormones, food sensitivities, and personal preferences, not calories. And every single time they'd come in for their first follow-up appointment and they'd comment on their weight loss, losing inches around the waistline, and having more energy throughout the day. Now, what I thought was so interesting was that I never really created the protocols with weight loss as the goal, but yet they were losing weight without really trying. They were not exercising more, but were exercising less. They were not eating less, but were eating more of the right foods more often. And in addition to the weight loss, their periods became normal, their fertility started improving, and getting pregnant became easy. This experience completely changed the way I practice fertility and weight loss. Now, here's what you need to know. When it comes to weight loss, the calorie model is incomplete. And when it comes to fertility, the hormone model is incomplete. It is not calories that control weight loss, it is hormones. It is not hormones that control fertility, it is metabolism. When you get the metabolism and hormones flowing right, baby, it's like magic. The weight and fertility just take care of themselves. And I'm not joking. Here are a few real clinical case studies that demonstrate this. My patient Tam went from PCOS with unwanted belly fat, no periods for 6 months, to a 30-pound weight loss that gave her back her hourglass figure, and her periods returned with the normal amount of bleeding and little to no pain. My other patient, Regina, whose excess weight, gut inflammation, chronic joint pain, and irregular menstrual cycles was making it difficult for her to get pregnant, lost weight, restored her metabolism, and got pregnant on the weekend of her 40th birthday after only 6 months of following the protocol. My other patient, Courtney, was able to have her rainbow baby because she prioritized regulating her metabolism. So if you're carrying some unwanted belly fat and you're having some trouble getting pregnant, you are in the right place, Queen. So let's get into how you can use hormones to lose the excess weight, prepare your body for a healthy pregnancy, and dramatically increase your odds of getting pregnant. Now to start, I want you to imagine a seesaw. On one end, there is a 200-pound adult, and on the other end, there is a 50-pound child. This is the image I want you to keep in mind about what has happened with your metabolism and hormones. The second image I want you to imagine is a set of dominoes. You start with one domino, it falls, knocking down the other dominoes, and sets into motion a whole series of effects that lead to a negative process. So let's first talk about this seesaw. The seesaw really has to do with two things: the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. These are the two sides of the nervous system. Let's talk about how this happens and what you can do to fix it. So, what causes the sympathetic side of the nervous system to be overly stimulated? Well, as I already started showing, it's stress. Now, before you tune me out, start rolling your eyes or side eyeing me, let me explain what I mean by stress. Stress happens when you perceive the demands placed on you to exceed the resources that you have to cope with those demands. Stress also happens when your brain perceives negative or threatening signals from your environment, both internal and external. So let me give you a few examples of how I typically see stress play out in my own life and in the lives of my patients. Working in environments that overwork us, underpay us, and micromanage us. Having to go to school while working full time, undereating, overexercising, being sedentary most days out of the week, constantly pushing our bodies to do more and work harder, being in relationships or environments where we don't feel safe, harboring shame about ourselves, our bodies, and our choices. So those are just a few examples of how stress plays out in our day-to-day lives and put tension on our metabolism. Now, what this stress begins to do is impact the brain. At the base of the brain, there is a control center called the hypothalamus. And that hypothalamus communicates with another gland called the pituitary. And then the hypothalamus and the pituitary together communicate with your metabolic system. They send signals to your adrenals, your thyroid, and your ovaries. We call this system the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal thyroid ovarian axis. Now, here's what I want you to catch here. The ovaries are actually part of the metabolic system. What this means is that our reproductive system is not just about fertility, it is about metabolism. In other words, if your ovaries are not functioning properly, not only will getting pregnant be difficult for you, but losing weight and keeping it off will also be very difficult. The other thing that stress does is it causes blood circulation to focus on the arms and legs so that you can either fight or take flight. Now, the key thing to understand here is that when the blood flows favorably to the arms and legs, the metabolic system, which is the hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal, thyroid, ovarian axis, begins to lose function. It's like having a tight band around a body part. After a while, you'll start feeling a loss of sensation in that area, won't you? Well, this shunting of blood from the middle organs to the arms and legs have a similar effect. If it goes on for too long, over time, there is a loss of function. Now, stress is a normal part of life, but it's when stress occurs over a long period of time that we start getting into really big trouble with our metabolism. The constant stress is like an irritant to the brain and hypothalamus. In response to the irritation, the pituitary overstimulates the adrenals, thyroid, and ovaries. In the short term, the brain can handle this, but in the long term, the brain gets tired of being irritated and starts to be less responsive. So the communication flow between the hypothalamus, thyroid, adrenals, and ovaries gets interrupted, dysfunctional, and damaged. Essentially, the communication system gets severed. For some women, if they stop the stress, the communication flow gets restored. And for others, however, even when they stop, the adrenals no longer work normally. The thyroid remains dysfunctional and the ovaries end up prematurely aging, not making enough estrogen and progesterone. So eventually, the menstrual cycle becomes dysregulated. And this is when women start seeing things like irregular periods, heavy and painful bleeding, spotting, PCOS symptoms, fibroids, and endometriosis. So, when the adrenals, thyroid, and ovaries aren't working properly for a long period of time, your body goes into what I call you gonna learn today mode. Now, the reason why I say this is because your metabolism switches up on you and goes into fat storage mode. So the things you used to do to lose weight, get lean, build muscle, and get more energy no longer work. And this is usually when women start to see the weight piling on and not being able to lose weight no matter what they do. So this forces them to start making some serious changes to fix their metabolism. So, this stress factor is really the first domino that falls. That stress from the sympathetic overstimulation creates irritation in the hypothalamus pituitary system, which then starts to disrupt your metabolism. The next thing that begins to occur is digestive dysfunction. Once the digestive system goes, you can no longer digest your food properly. But here's the T though, to continue adapting to stress, you need nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and amino acids. If you cannot get them and they're not being absorbed and utilized well, this dysfunction gets even greater, putting even more stress on the metabolism. So now you're not digesting your food appropriately. Now you're developing immune reactions and sensitivities to certain foods, and you're doing damage all around your body. So that's the domino that falls next, your digestive system and your ability to get nutrients from your food and use them properly. And then what happens after that is all your cellular mitochondria, which are the energy engines in each cell, begin to not have the fuel they need to do their job. And the way mitochondrial dysfunction shows up is you start feeling fatigued, exhausted, or burnt out, where the sleep ain't sleeping like it used to, the coffee ain't coffeeing like it used to, and the energy ain't energying, and the libido ain't libidoing, okay? All of these symptoms feed the vicious cycle, creating more stress and more metabolic tension, which perpetuates the metabolic dysfunction cycle. If your metabolic dysfunction has reached this point, you're probably feeling like, I want to go home. Like, take me to a place where I feel like myself and feel good again. Now, how do we fix this and get out of this nightmare? Well, we have to follow the same linear process that caused the disruption. So the very first and critical step is to rest the nervous system. Remember, this happened because of the nervous system seesaw, the sympathetic overstimulation that threw the entire system out of balance. If you cannot rest the sympathetic nervous system and stop the sympathetic overdrive, you will not be able to get the nervous system back in balance. If you're a dieter where you undereat while overdoing it with the exercise, or you're an overachiever, this first step is going to be challenging because you've become so programmed that doing more is the right approach to achieving your goals. The next step we need to take only after resting the nervous system is to restore hormones. Some women go straight to fixing hormones without first dealing with the root cause, which is the sympathetic nervous system overstimulation. But it doesn't matter how many supplements you take, how much you spend on hormone therapy. If you don't fix the nervous system problem, it very likely will not work. It's like trying to fill a cup with a big hole in the bottom of it. It's a complete waste of effort and resources because it won't make much of a difference. Now, once we rest the nervous system and restore the hormones, then we begin to replace the digestive system capacity. What happens to many women is that the nervous system and hormonal system are dysfunctional for so long that the digestive system can no longer digest and assimilate food. So they start experiencing things like gas, bloating, and start reacting to foods that they used to be able to eat with no problem. Now, some women don't recognize the digestive dysfunction, but I usually discover that they need help with their digestion through lab testing. And this is where supplements come in that are critical to absorbing nutrients again to replete nutrient deficiencies. The next step is rebuilding the mitochondria, the energy factories in our cells. This often requires taking in the correct types of fat, saturated fats, phospholipids, and unsaturated fats. And after executing steps 1 through 5 is when we begin rebooting the metabolism to stimulate it to begin ramping it up to burn fat more easily and for our metabolism to function more efficiently. These 5 things must be done in linear sequence, one after the other. Most people fail at fixing their metabolism because they skip steps, only do 1 or 2 of these steps, and don't do it in the right order. And most just do more cardio or cut more calories and take supplements to rev up their metabolism. That is a wrong approach because it worsens the metabolic dysfunction cycle. Rebooting the metabolism comes last for a reason. Most people do it first, and that's why they make the situation worse and worse over time. So these are the 5 things that must be done and must be done in sequential order to lose the excess weight, to prepare your body for a healthy pregnancy, and dramatically increase your odds of getting pregnant. You need to understand these concepts and execute them well so that you can get the results you desire. Now, if you desire more help on your fertility and weight loss journey and are interested in customizing the 5 key things for your individual concerns, I invite you to book your free hormone and metabolism consultation to see if our protocol would be a good fit for you. This is a no pressure consult that takes 30 minutes where I ask questions about your health history to help you determine what it would take for you to get your health back on track. You will also get a chance to ask questions that you may have and learn more about our services. Okay, thanks so much for kicking it with me today, Queen. I'm looking forward to working with you.